Hello, this is Dickie once again, the former spokesperson for the American Cultural Tradition and/or Cultural Memory Complaint Department, and the current head and/or chief and/or director and/or director head chief and/or chief head director and/or head chief director of the Stochastic Intelligence Agency. And of course, what we're looking at here is once again the head and/or chief and/or director of the Department of Lies and Misinformation for the current presidency of the United States of America. This is Mr. Stephen Chung. And as you know, I recently received an email from Mr. Chung, and I was informed that I'm suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. And it started worrying me that, perhaps I actually am deranged, and I am possessed with a derangement syndrome. And of course, Trump derangement syndrome means anyone who doesn't care for Donald J. Trump. And I don't care for Donald J. Trump, and so I suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. And this started worrying me a bit, because no one wants to be diagnosed by, an expert like Stephen Chung with mental disorder. But in any case, I realized that I also suffer from Stephen Chung derangement syndrome. So I'm doubly deranged because in addition to not liking Donald J, I don't particularly like Stephen CH. And this morning, well, let me see. Something occurred to me this morning as I was outside having a conversation with a contracting feature Theta, who was outside letting his dog Fiverr, and his dog Little One brings rain in midsummer. Little Early One brings rain in midsummer, and they were doing their business outside, and this young man, he was walking by, and he has two dogs, and the first dog is named after this young man's favorite cut of meat, and for whatever reason that might be, and the second dog, so that dog is a bulldog, and is named after his favorite cut of meat, and the second dog is some kind of little scruffy dog, and the little scruffy dog is named after this young man's favorite breakfast cereal, and I think this young man is obsessed with the 1950s food chain, but in any case, he was walking down the street, and there was nobody there, and he was saying the F word. He didn't say that, it was just F word, and it's like B word, and it's like P word, and then it was like MF word, and all the words, with all the letters, we're not going to say because it's offensive. and I was thinking, well, I don't like him either, so I don't like a young man who okay, so the turkey, and I'm admitting, confessing, I have young man who names his bulldog after his favorite cut of meat, and his little scruffy dog after his favorite breakfast cereal, derangement syndrome. And so I was thinking about all these derangement syndromes that I have, and I was trying to overgeneralize or generalize. What do I, about these people that I didn't like? And I realized it's their offensive verbal expression of toxic masculinity. So I have toxic male derangement syndrome. Hold on, I'm gonna have to come back. A contracting feature Theta is getting a phone call, and he's not here, so I'm gonna have to answer that. I'll be right back. Take care. All right, so this is Turkey. I'm back once again, and that was the TLC Veterinary Hospital. They have Leo, that is Little Early One. Little Early One brings rain in midsummer's. Medications are ready for his arthritis, and we'll pick those up later this afternoon. And anyway, back to what we're saying. Trying to figure out what it was about having Stephen Chung derangement syndrome and Trump derangement syndrome, and having a young man who names his dog after his favorite cut of meat, and names other dog after his favorite breakfast cereal, derangement syndrome. And we figured out it's toxic masculinity derangement syndrome, and I confess, I have it. I have toxic masculinity derangement syndromes, which means I don't like toxic males. And when this young man, he was verbalizing, and he was verbalizing all these words, and I thought, what is it? What is it? Is he practicing? Because there was no one there, and I thought, maybe he's practicing. So when I wondered if Stephen Chung also practices these words, like does he stand in front of the mirror and say, she has a rotting B-sized brain, she's suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, or is it something else? And I was really confused. I was like, is this a practice, or is this is this Tourette's syndrome, or what could it be? So I came up with a few ideas about what's going on with all these verbalizers, and I'm not sure which is which and how it all works out, but I'd like to put it to a survey, and you can a contract and V through Theta's YouTube viewers can call Stephen Chung's number, and perhaps let him know what he thinks, and or what they think about what it is. And we came up with these possibilities. Okay, so projection. So the first one is projection. So Mr. Chung's always talking about everybody's pea-sized brain. So does Mr. Chung, in his heart of hearts, or his brain of brains, know that in fact he has a pea-sized brain? And he also refers to individuals as a piece of SH, or a pile of SH, or various types of SH. So does projection would mean that in his heart of hearts, or brain of brains, Stephen Chung actually believes that he is a piece of SH and has a pea-sized brain. So if you choose that one, that's what that means. All right, so the second one is brain damage. So is Stephen Chung brain damage? So so if you think it's projection, that's number one. One, projection. Two, brain damage. Three, mental illness. Mental illness, I would suggest maybe a combination of or one of several possibilities. Bipolar disorder, narcissism, sociopathy, psychopathy, something like that. So is he psychopath, sociopath? Does he have bipolar disorder, or narcissism? And that's number three. Four, Tourette's syndrome. That's a different possibility. maybe has Tourette syndrome. Five is just good old-fashioned toxic, overcompensation for a threatened sense of masculine self-identity, and that could be it because a lot of these insults are directed toward women. Just like the guy today, the young man who named his dog after his favorite piece of meat and his other dog after his favorite breakfast cereal, and that young man's words, largely were misogynist words directed, at women, and his I guess, sense of masculine self-identity importance is all about using these misogynist and homophobic words, etc., etc., etc. And so if you want to, call Stephen Chung and let him know what you think if his toxic masculinity is a result of, number 1, projection, number 2, brain damage, number 3, mental illness, number 4, Tourette syndrome, number 5, just plain good old-fashioned toxic male overcompensation for a threatened sense of masculine self-identity. And once again, the number that you can reach, Stephen Chung at is the following: 1-505-362-1978. So go ahead and call Stephen Chung at 1-505-362-1978 and let him know whether you think his verbalizations are a result of 1, projection, 2, brain damage, 3, mental illness, 4, Tourette syndrome, or 5, just good old-fashioned toxic male overcompensation for a threatened sense of masculine self-identity. All right? Okay, once again, this Turkey signing out. Take care.